Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Yeah, that's me. C'est moi. How you doing? Pleasure to hear you, see you, whatever. 8:14, that's what it is. I mean, not the time, that's the date. And it's a Tuesday, and that means my sister is on the line, Susan in Chicago. Hello, Suze.
Yeah, isn't it a miracle I'm in Chicago?
I know. You're actually where you're supposed to be. That's good.
I unpacked for the first time
Good.
in what felt like months.
I don't know how there's lots of people who live out of their suitcases, for their work and stuff. I can't imagine. I would be.
Yeah, I just kept taking out underwear and putting clean underwear in. But by the time I got back this time, it was really time to do the wash.
Yeah. I understand. I mean, just a few. Well, whatever. Hey, lots of stuff I think to talk about. I just want to say something. I just wing by you one thing that I'm sure I've said before, and said, how the hell how is this possible? What's going on? It's just that I was opening all the mail that accumulated when I was gone. And one is from my supplemental insurance company. You have Medicare when you're an old person, and then you have your supplemental. So I got this, it was the classics. This is not a bill. This is an explanation of your benefits. And just rounding it up, here it is. It is just for a period of 1 month. And my medical bills amounted to $9,714. Now, Susan, during that month, nothing catastrophic happened to me. Nothing. $9,714. It says here.
Well, you had some tests run for which they charge thousands of dollars for going through the revolving door.
Of the $9,700, Medicare did say, okay, yeah, we'll pay $500. Essentially, I'm rounding it a little bit. Okay, that's $500. And then the supplemental guy said, all right, we'll throw in $360. So what's left of the $9,714 bill is essentially pretty much $9,000. And then it says, you may owe, and I cringed if $9,000 was left, I may owe nothing.
That's right.
Now, explain the absurdity of this system.
Because that's what the person who has private insurance or no insurance is going to be billed with different results. These are negotiated prices with these carriers for this service. That's why our health insurance doesn't work. It's just it depending on who you are and whether you've got a powerful enough lobbying force behind you, you get a negotiated price that holds you pretty much harmless. That's why when people say, Medicare for all, I think to myself, well, it's working pretty well for me.
Yeah, me too.
Because I can tell you that the last year that I was quoted a private, by Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, for a top-notch policy, which, when I had a dire experience with as my husband fell ill, and they pretty much paid for everything, no questions asked. But, the last quote that I had from them was $1,500 a month, and that was a few years ago now. So now I pay at least $1,000 less a month, and you and I pay more because we have actual income still. So to the extent that you have income, you
Oh,
pay
yeah,
more
yeah, I
for
know,
this,
as I
for your
should.
Medicare than other people
As I
that
should,
don't.
of
and
course.
I should, and I don't care. And even
Yeah.
with paying more,
You're paying
I am
less than in
saving
the private.
$1,000 a month, and I pay virtually nothing for prescriptions, and I pay virtually nothing for any of my health care, which, by the way, to this date, I have had absolutely no problem accessing anywhere.
Well, this is insane.
Is that correct in your
Well,
experience?
yeah. So the 9,000 is what somebody without health insurance is expected to pay. And
Would be billed.
And of course, they probably do not have health insurance because they can't afford it.
Because of what it costs.
Well, as if they
And-
can
and
spend,
be-
as if they can pay 9,000 for. And I have to tell you, I don't even know what these charges are for, except that one shot I get once a month, which is most of them.
Well, no, didn't you have?
Well,
have
no,
a
this is
stress
for
test?
May. This is for May and into June, and all it is this one shot I get for once a month that is billed out at close to, well, I think it's $8,000
Oh yeah, well, that's like
once a month.
The medication. Yeah.
Well, okay,
You're
let's
lucky
stop
they
talking
don't make
about
you
it. It's
buy
just
3 vials.
okay. It's just you would have to be insane to come up with the system we have. This is
Well,
insanity.
no, okay. So explain to me this. I think I've brought this up before. Explain to me why a cancer patient with a pretty much dire diagnosis is required to buy his medication 3 months at a time at a cost of $15,000 theoretically.
Well, you tell me why, because they end up coming out ahead
and I
all
can
the
assure
time.
you that when my husband was no more, we had 2 months of untouched medication, which then has to be destroyed. It cannot be reused.
Disgusting. Really.
Even though it's unopened, seal unbroken, doesn't matter.
Yeah. This is what and we say we have a free market here.
And we have people that want to keep this system.
Are they out of their minds? What? Okay, never mind. Okay, I just wanted to say it because every time it hits me like getting one of those stupid statements, I just go, I feel despair. Jeez. Okay, enough. Oh. So.
Our healthcare system explained. It doesn't work.
It is insane.
And,
if you
know,
put
and to those
kindergartners
people who say
in a
there's
room.
long lines and rationing. There's rationing in the countries where they have it. I'm just going to remind you, we got rationing here. You can either afford it or you can't.
And here's another way you have rationing here. Who was I talking to the other day? They needed to see a doctor immediately. Well, it was our own mother. She had a issue, and she wanted to see an ENT, ear, nose, and throat person, or an audiologist. And the soonest
There weren't any.
No, the soonest she could get in was November. For something that is occurring right now, November doesn't cut the mustard. You can, and that's not rationing. That's not having to get in a line. Why do you think these, these things have popped up all over the country? These, urgent care centers or whatever they're called, wherever you are.
Urgent care centers popped up because that's the preferred way of delivering medicine now. I mean,
it's preferred for the
preferred
customers
under insurance policies.
Well, but the customer, you can actually go and see someone when you need to see them.
Somebody, but they exist as much as they exist because the insurance companies are and employers are reimbursing those easier than getting in to see a doctor or a certain doctor. I mean, the healthcare system is slanting towards this kind of delivery,
which is
and if you're seeing a cultural change occurring simply because of the way insurance
of
covers
course
it, of the way the current policy I don't know who's making it, but that's it. We are being herded.
Insurance
Don't think
lobbyists.
It's choice. Don't think it's capitalism.
No, I know. Insurance lobbyists are deciding.
We are being herded.
Herded into these places.
Away from our own family doctor model.
Right,
that does
exactly.
not exist.
Exactly. So you'll see whoever there is there and who won't know you from Adam and doesn't have any. It's okay. Let's stop
And
because
they see absolutely no
irretrievably
benefit
broken.
in having a relationship with the doctor.
Right. All right. Okay. Enough. So did you hear about the case at NYU of the feminist professor?
Was she NYU or Columbia?
NYU. The
yes,
feminist
I did. And
professor, and
shame on those people that rushed to her defense.
Okay, so here's a woman, for those of you who don't know, who over years totally sexually harassed and abused a student who was, guess she was his advisor and his professor. Yep. And this is a young man. And here's the real funny part about this whole story. She identifies as queer. He is gay and, in fact, is now married to a man, and he is a visiting fellow at Harvard. The woman, he's 34. The woman who is 66, the professor, denies any harassment whatsoever. And yet there is a trail of emails and stuff from her to him that are just beyond belief. And he has said, this is exactly the kind of stuff if you see it reversed.
Of power.
Right.
And
he didn't know what to
no
do.
Choice.
Right. He didn't know what to do. And here's one of her emails. And it's after she had asked him to accompany her to Paris. And, of course, there was just one room for both of them. They didn't have intercourse, it doesn't seem. But she made him lie with her. She put his hands on her breasts. She touched him, cuddled with him, blah, blah, blah. And she writes him this: I woke up with a slight fever and sore throat. I will try very hard not to kiss you until the throat receives security clearance. This is not an easy deferral. And then again, another email: time for your midday kiss, which is, of course, my image during meditation. We're on the sofa, your head on my lap, stroking your forehead, playing softly with your hair, soothing you. Yes? And a bunch of female professor women have come to her defense and saying that Title 10, which is what allowed him to bring this complaint, was meant for women and was intended to address the history of sexual harassment and assault of women. And consequently, he shouldn't be able to use it or something. Unbelievable.
Well, and shame on him. No, Title 10 is,
Shame on him. Shame on her. That was not a him.
Shame on them.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
When I was reading that this morning, and I was just hanging my head.
It's unbelievable.
At the hypocrisy, and at the unwillingness to admit that women can be every bit as awful as men. That it's about power.
Right.
It's not about sex.
It's about
not
power.
About gender. It's about
Yeah.
power.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about taking what you want because you can. It's power. And shame on anyone that says it's okay for us but wrong for you.
Listen to this. Diane Davis, chair of the Department of Rhetoric at the University of Texas, also signed the letter to NYU supporting the professor. And she said she and her colleagues were particularly disturbed because Mr. Reitman was using Title IX, I am, of course, very supportive, she says, of what Title IX is trying to do, and the Me Too effort as well, of their efforts to confront and to prevent abuses. But it is for that very reason that it is so disappointing when this incredible energy for justice is twisted and turned against itself, which is what many of us believe is happening in this case. What the F? This is a professor, and she thinks it's being twisted? No, it's not. It's simply
it's being applied even-handedly.
Inclusively. Yeah. Jesus. I mean, NYU has suspended her. NYU is treating this seriously.
NYU has acted absolutely appropriately. They investigated immediately, and then they suspended her. She's got a year off.
Unbelievable.
There's another woman I think in Germany, who is a esteemed neurobiologist, I think, who writes about empathy, who has been thrown out of her job for her distinct lack
of empathy. I saw that too. I have that story somewhere because it is so friggin' funny.
She was such a mean.
Here it is.
Nasty broad.
Right, it is. She's world-renowned for studying empathy. Her colleagues say she's an intimidating bully. She is. Nobody can stand working for her. She is like, but if you were to like be doing a serious, whatever, symposium or anything on empathy, I mean, this neuroscientist is
she's your broad.
She's the go-to person.
And she was meanest to pregnant women.
Oh, that's right. Meanest to pregnant. Right. Meanest to pregnant women. And they're saying
no one left her office without
crying. It said whenever anyone had a meeting with her, there was at least an even chance that they would come out in tears. This is the expert on empathy. And here's what it shows you. That's a woman too. That's a woman professor.
That's a woman too. So I am for getting rid of abusive people in power, no matter where they fall on whatever gender spectrum.
Exactly.
Being abusive to others, no matter where they fall along the gender spectrum, is not allowed, period.
And what is so hard to comprehend about that?
No, what is so hard?
I don't know.
Or to own up to. And women can be every bit as god-awful as men. I've watched it. I mean, I'd have to tell you, I'd be lying if I didn't say, please God, not a woman boss more than once.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
Well, no, because there were a couple that were no true.
Well, but they're no men and women in that regard, given power,
are no different.
Probably not.
That's what I'm saying.
Although, I don't know. I think women might be a little bit better. Because because they do know.
I would want them to be, but we are sitting here talking about an awful lot of instances when a lot of them are failing the test.
Okay, we're talking about two now.
But we're also talking about all those women that wrote that letter in support of an abusive woman, like all the men, like the people at CBS that really don't want to get rid of Les Moonves or whatever his name is.
That's right. Okay. There was a story out of Michigan maybe a month ago. It was a federal court case. I was so astonished by the finding that I did talk about it on the show. It's come up again. Susan, this was a case out of Detroit where a number of students and I believe their parents sued the school system, saying that their civil rights had been violated because they had a constitution.
Of the quality of the school.
Right. They had a right to literacy, let's put it that way, because people literally graduating from this high school were illiterate.
Can't read or write.
Right. And the judge, and here it is. Here's what he says. The conditions of plaintiff's schools and the outcomes are nothing short of devastating. When a child who could be taught to read goes untaught, the child suffers a lasting injury, and so does society. But the court is faced with a discrete question. Does the Due Process Clause demand that a state affirmatively provide each child with a defined minimum level of education? The answer to the question is no. And so they lost the case. And this is mind-blowing to me. And now there are other cases that are being put forward and trying to use different arguments, saying, and here's the argument they're trying to use to get around the fact that nowhere in the Constitution does the word school or education or literacy or a right for children to receive.
Look at the time that the Constitution was written.
Well, yeah,
they didn't expect that everybody had it.
Okay. It's amazing, though, that up until this time there has been no court precedent on the federal level that, in fact, that this is obviously something. And somebody's come up, and let's hope that this one works. Attorneys are trying a new tactic. They are arguing that an illiterate adult is unable to participate as a full citizen in a democratic republic. They would find it obviously difficult to hold a job, to apply for a job, to read a ballot, to vote, and consequently not being able to be literate. Being illiterate should be seen as a violation of their rights. I don't know. Here's what
it's going to be hard. And
here's
I'll
what
tell you why
Michigan's.
it doesn't.
But Susan, listen to this. Just listen how vile this is. Here's the Attorney General of Michigan who argued and who won the case, and he said this: although there are many important aspects of living in the United States, the mere fact that something is important doesn't mean there's a constitutional right to it. For example, although it is certainly important for a person to have shelter, the Constitution doesn't create a right to governmental provision of adequate shelter. And so here's what makes people hate lawyers and the legal establishment, that you can, argue like that, and in fact that argument wins in the way of our system of justice. And they say state officials also argued that the suit failed to trace the ills of the schools to any action by the state. The schools are crumbling. There are rats moving from classroom to classroom. There are no books. One of the kids who brought the suit was the valedictorian of one of these schools, and he did not get in. He had the highest SAT scores in the school. He was, and he could not get in to a college. He ended up at a community college having to take
remedial everything.
Remedial everything. That's the valedictorian. No fault of his. He was a hardworking student. He was given no education. They said they really didn't even have teachers. They would have substitutes who would come in regularly and simply keep order. That's all that was done. And so the very idea that you need a literate electorate, it seems to me that that is what the Founding Fathers said. I'm always saying that they said that you need an informed citizenry to be able to retain this government.
Well, let's hope that you can pin a whole lot of right into the word informed. I mean, I don't disagree with you, and I would say that one of the reasons that there isn't, something more clad in stone is that there have been state laws. It used to be sort of a universal acceptance that the public should get educated and we should have a good public school system.
Duh.
I mean, it started that, aside from little bumps in the road like segregated schools, etc., there was nonetheless the idea that everybody deserved a schoolroom and a teacher, and that in particular with our immigrant populations, it was seen as a way to assimilate, to learn the language, to get a foothold, to begin their lives in the United States. And it has always been seen by the community as a good thing to support until a very late, when we have decided to demonize children, to not support our schools, and to claim that we love our children more than anybody else. Arnie Duncan was never my favorite education secretary, but what he said the other day, that we claim to be a country that treasures our children and holds them, in the highest esteem, and we don't educate them. We refuse to pay for good schools. We demonize our children, and we treasure our guns more than them. And I agreed with everything he said.
Hey, speaking of treasure our guns more than them, do you see the latest idea that our brilliant government has come up with for dealing with the fact that, guns being such like apple pie and motherhood in America, and guns having now made their way into our children's schools and classrooms, they've come up with another way to deal with this.
Talking about the Florida plan?
The Department of Homeland Security has posted notice of a grant. Just letting you all know, because maybe you can get it. And this grant will award close to $2 million to create a program to teach high school students how to stop bleeding.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. I have to say, we learned that in health class anyway.
Not the kind of bleed, I don't know. And here's what how
to pack a gunshot wound?
Yeah, right. Here's what the grant proposal says. Similar to how students learn health education and driver's education, they must learn proper bleeding control using commonly available materials, including how to use their hands, dressings, and tourniquets. And this is in response to the fact that our children are dying in schools because we cannot come to terms with our obscene love of guns. This is beyond belief to me.
It is beyond belief.
Yeah, that was in the New York Times today. Anyway, so the grant's there. If you want to come up with the curriculum, you got $2 million you can get. Isn't that something?
Right.
Jeez. Okay, Susan, one more legal story.
And I was not surprised to find out that my late state of residency, Missouri, falls short in places to have a baby. And, gee, I think it's because they keep closing down all the women's health centers, a.k.a. Planned Parenthood.
You mean people don't have a place to have a baby?
There's no place to access prenatal care for poor women.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah.
I mean, if they don't think that that's a direct, that all their caring for the unborn does is make it hard for women that want their babies to have healthy ones.
Here's a little factoid. At least 85 rural hospitals have totally shut down since 2010, while others have dramatically cut back. This is again back to our health system, right? While others have dramatically cut back on services. Listen to this. It's now estimated that fewer than half of the rural counties in the United States have a hospital, and have a hospital that offers obstetric care.
That's
and
right.
This is forcing
and you
women.
Know why?
Why, Susan?
I'll tell you why. Because the insurance, the malpractice insurance for obstetricians, is so obscenely high that people don't go into the field.
Rural hospitals are hurting financially because of cuts to public health insurance programs and a refusal by many states to expand Medicaid. That's the bigger
That's
issue.
right. That's what happened in Missouri.
And these,
I mean,
so these rural counties, Susan.
Republican policies.
Yeah. This is
what?
Republican counties, rural,
Yeah.
putting in place people who end up closing down their hospitals, refusing them access to basic health care, and they continue to vote for him? You know what?
And you also, those very same legislators, using Missouri as an example, passed this law, the right to work law, over the objections of 60, later to find out that it was representing nobody's constituents. It was defeated 66 to 33, with 50% of Republicans voting against
it. This is
against it. So,
this was a referendum,
everybody
right?
In the whole state,
right?
Yeah, and everybody in the whole state is just waiting for the legislature to go back in and pass it again.
Pass it again, which
right,
they
which
do.
They routinely do.
Right, which they do because
they
they are serving their corporate masters.
It has nothing, and no matter how clearly they demonstrate that they don't give two.
Well, then why don't they vote
for
these
what
people?
Their own constituents. Don't ask me why they keep voting for them. Wow, I got no health care. Wow, I got no. I can't get a union job. They ain't going to pay me anymore. Wow, they're leaving in droves because there's no schools out here. Wow, this is working really well for me. Don't ask me. Or we're all farmers, and
And
really,
I'm a soybean farmer, and I'm good.
Yeah,
I know. Jesus H. Okay. I give up.
Yeah.
Okay. I know.
Well, let's see what happens. I will be watching this midterm, with great interest.
You? Who the hell?
Yeah, I'm just looking. Yeah, I'm sure I'm not alone.
So, I have one more judicial story, Susan.
Okay.
This has to do with another part of the law that is sort of radical, attempting to move the law in a certain direction, and it has to do with an 8-year-old horse.
Yeah, I know this one too.
Okay, well, this horse was found 300 pounds underweight, his coat lice-ridden, his skin scabbed, his genitals so frostbitten that they might have to be amputated. This all because his previous owner was a vile human being, and he did plead guilty to criminal animal neglect. And the poor horse was sent to a rescue place and is now being well cared for and treated. But the rescue place has put out, close to $100,000 for veterinary care. And so they've sued to get for the animal. They are suing for the animal's pain and suffering and to get the money to care for the animal.
That's such a loser case. I mean, and I think and it seems to me that there's such a more straightforward cause of action that that the people that were forced to give the care in lieu of the owner have a right to go against the owner to recover their losses at the expense of his actions. But animals, I mean, written into every bit of the law, are only worth what their value is stock. And, if your beloved cat is burned up in a fire and it's an alley cat, it's worth nothing. And if your beloved cat is burned up in a fire at a boarding place and you have papers proving that cat is worth $3,000, that cat is worth $3,000. And that's the beginning and the end of it. There is no such right for animals. And I don't think a judge is allowed to create it out of whole cloth.
Okay, right now, though, but I'm saying this is a developing area of the law. More than 150 law schools now have courses in animal law. And some states have created animal law prosecutorial units. All 50 states now do have felony penalties for animal abuse. And Connecticut last year became the first state to allow courts to appoint lawyers as advocates in animal cruelty cases. So I think this is...
But you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They had to create a right.
They do, and they're trying to, and this case is another way of pushing that, I guess.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that it seems to me legally that it fails until the legislature acts first. That is sort of the way our country goes, and to the extent that people scream that that the law is inappropriately
I'm sorry,
creating
Susan.
law from the bench, this is the stuff that does it.
Susan.
And what I'm saying is, if I were sitting and hearing this case, I, as a judge, would gently ask the complainant to reword their thing to go under a clause which I would then freely admit that they could claim.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like this, that it's tortured.
Okay, but you know what? So some of these things, seem a little out there.
I mean,
but you
so,
understand
for
what
example,
they are because...
there is no such thing as pain and suffering in a horse. You and I.
Well, I mean, there is,
say it's
but it's not legal.
Well,
standard.
Of course there is, but not under the law.
Yeah, I understand. Which is why, and forgive me, but that's why Dickens said the law is an ass.
But also, not only not for the animal, but not for the human that owns the animal. So if I, as the owner, lost my cats in a fire in a boarding place, I couldn't sue for my own pain and suffering because of my loss of dear Fido.
I understand. But in divorce cases, animal custody stuff is becoming every bit as fraught as child custody.
Yes, but only to the point that they can be treated as chattel.
Fine. But women were treated as chattel until when?
Like yesterday.
Yeah, pretty much. So, okay. So listen to here. There was a case in 2012 that sued the Navy on behalf of the world's dolphins and everybody else because of their use of sonar, which totally screws these animals up.
Right.
Also, there was a suit for the 5 orcas still at SeaWorld in, I think, 2012, which said their captivity was a violation of the 13th Amendment's prohibition on slavery. Now, that's a loser. You just know that's a loser. But I think these things are done to just start building a basis to win. Here's a funny one, I got to tell you. This spring, a federal appeals court ruled. A federal appeals court, Susan, it got that high, ruled that a crested macaque, that'd be a Boyd, a crested macaque that took its own photo could not sue for copy. Oh, macaque is not a bird. Is it an animal? A monkey? A monkey. It's a monkey.
I think it's a monkey.
That's right, right. A federal appeals court ruled that a crested macaque that took its own photo could not sue for copyright protection. I mean, okay. I would agree that a crested macaque that took its own picture should not. But there are other cases recently for captive lab animals and stuff. And, eventually, when you see how the court rules in these, and then you look back at how the court ruled in cases involving slaves, humans, it's no different.
I mean, let's go to a more obvious choice for now. If a corporation has corporate rights and a voice, then why the hell doesn't Fido?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I mean, we took a little device written into one law to empower the public against big corporations, and turned it around on its head, as these feminists are complaining about with Title X, and used it against the little guy with Citizens United. But that's actually, they had a way to do it. They couldn't make it up out of whole cloth. So as these things start to come with the right courts, then the law might emerge. But you have to start legislatively a little bit.
Yeah, right. But, yeah. Okay. So there you have it. Just want to say the animal is called, he wasn't, but when he was brought to the shelter, they changed his name from Shadow to Justice. And speaking of animals, Susan, I have to tell you.
Another case is the elephants in the circus. They've all been.
Right. Speaking of animals, Susan.
Yep.
After the show, I am going to pick up my dog.
Did you get the one we were discussing?
No, that dog's gone.
What are you getting?
When I got back from Green Bay, I saw I was out of fish food. So I went over to where I get my fish food, which is a pet shop that does have rescue cats and dogs.
Right.
And I said to myself, go look. And I thought, I just can't. I got to go look. So there were a bunch of puppies, so cute you could die. And then there was a sad-looking soul with one of those collars on that keeps her from...
Right, with the don't bite with the
what do they call those with the lampshade on her? That.
Yeah, the lampshade.
Oh, no, I forget what they call them, but oh my God, it was cute. It was a cute little white scruffy thing. And then next to her was the dog I got. He ain't pretty, but you know how these things happen. I looked at him and I thought, I could save you, couldn't I? Okay. So I'm getting him. He's, they think he has a lot of bull terrier in him.
Uh-huh.
He's not big and he's not small, and he's sweet. I took him for a little walk. And
does he have a pug nose?
Sort of. He's got one of those, not a pug nose, but he's got sort of a foreshortened snout.
Uh-huh.
And he's mostly black, but he's got one leg that is white with black spots. And he has little black ears that go up and then fold over. And
Of course he does. Well, he's a terrier, absolutely.
Well, he's sweet, and I think he's very smart. And the woman there who takes care of the dog says, "Oh, he's my favorite." Now, here's the weird thing. I said, "Well, I'll be back." I said, "I got to think about this. I'll be back." And so I had to go work out with my trainer. And after I told her, I got to go see this dog again. I got to get this together. And she said, "Do you want me to go with you?" And I said, "Oh, yes, please." So she came with me. Now, here's the weird thing. I hadn't even noticed. When we got back, that's the first thing she saw. The dog's name was Dino. That's the name they had given him. That's her nickname.
Bino?
Dino. That's her nickname. The trainer.
Oh.
And she said, "Oh, my God, he's got my..." Well, that was it. So that was sealed. Oh, it must be fate. He has my... Oh, my God. And she is the one who has that band called Dino Soul. Dino. Right. Dinosaur. And they're good. Right. Yeah. So, my God. I mean, then that was it. It was done. It was, yeah. So I'm picking him up today because I wanted to sort of just get all the accoutrements.
Ready.
And I have to go, actually, first I have to go home and build.
How old is Dino?
Probably about a year and a half.
Oh, good. Youngster. But trained.
Well, trained initially, they think, but then he's been in a shelter for so long that he has some accidents. So he's got to be sort of, retrained. When I was walking him, there was a peal of thunder. He didn't give a damn. I thought, yes, he's not afraid of thunder. Good. So, whatever. So I'm a nervous wreck. I cannot, when I woke up this morning, I thought, this is the last day I will wake up and not have to immediately attend to a dog. So
Congratulations. And you will get up now. And I mean, every time I'm grumbling about, okay, get up. And then I get outside, I'm walking my dog, and I'm enjoying the hell out of the morning.
Okay.
It's just
I'm going to have to get up a lot earlier, though. Yeah, because I still have to prepare for the show. Getting up early. Anyway, I'm glad. I'm sure. I'm glad.
You'll figure out a schedule.
But I'm just, right now a little nervous. And I have to tell you, I don't like the name. And now if I change his name...
Then change it.
To what? I'm no good at names. Is there anything that starts with D that he might, still that be a good name? Anybody got any ideas? This is how Smudge Lemieux got her name. Who? Daryl, did you say? No.
Daryl and his other brother Daryl.
Then I was thinking maybe I could just name him after the last animal I had who I adored so much, a black cat named Dylan. Although that's not D.
Yeah, let him be Dylan again.
The resurrection of Dylan? I could.
Yeah, Dylan too.
But meanwhile, my trainer will be upset.
Don't tell her.
Well, what do you mean, don't tell her? She'll know. Okay. So anyway, that's my big news. And yeah, I'm a new mother, almost.
Well, congratulations. Just tell her that while the name was indeed a sign that you should take him, you have traditionally always rechristened your
but that's not
animals
true.
As they entered your home.
Okay, that's a lie, though. Oh, I say rechristened, not taking the name that they were.
Right.
Do you know what? I mean, my God, the names. Because sometimes shelters, I can't imagine where they get these names. Dylan had been Dillinger, which is fine, but I didn't like the criminal sort of.
Yeah, Ernie was Tattinger.
Pattinger? Jeez.
Yeah.
And my sweet little cat Addie was, get this, Forsyth. Who the hell would name a little cute...
Well, especially that cat.
I know. Here, Forsyth. So yeah, but like some people are really good at names. Like when I took in my friend Robin's cat, that was Bonnie Mertz. That's a good name.
Well, she always had good names.
Okay, and then I thought Smudge Lemieux was a good name, but that was my audience name.
Smudge Lemieux was a good name.
But the audience named her. Okay, you've got until tomorrow to give me a great name. Ideally starting with a D. Otherwise, I think he's going to be Dylan. So.
All right.
Okay. So it's a big.
I'm very excited for
I know.
you, and I'm happy. And
life changing.
Well, you belong with an animal. That didn't come out right. You.
Well, let's just put it this way. I have for the last 3 months not had an animal in my house, and it just doesn't seem right.
I know. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh God.
Oh, it was like our mother clutching the arm of my daughter's beau, and as he thanked her for being included, and she goes, "Included? I want you." And I said, "Back off, Mom. That's a little creepy."
What did she mean? Oh no, well she didn't mean that.
She likes this guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Onward.
We've got calls, so maybe we got some ideas.
Oh, good.
All right. Hello.
Hi, Sue. Hi, Lynn. How are you?
I'm good.
We're fine.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I've been in the animal movement for 30 years, and I've adopted many a rescue animal. And finding the names for them, you almost, when you meet them and look at them, they're going to tell you their names, and it's more like it usually will go to a nickname. And I don't even know where the origin of that come from.
Yeah, but you know what I want? I want a name that I don't feel like an idiot calling. You know what I mean? Because a dog you have to call sometimes in a public setting. I mean, you don't want to say something stupid.
Yeah, I tell you what. I've had a Raoul, and the neighbors still laugh at me outside hollering, "Raoul, Raoul." I mean, that's.
See, that's what I mean.
Anymore?
Okay. Raoul. Yeah, no, that doesn't sound right.
And with Dina, what about something like just "Hey D," because you're going to cut it short. That's what you do. You're just going to say "Hey D" or "Hey hon," "Hey whatever."
Yeah. Okay. You're
like,
right. I mean,
I have a dog, Rico. As you both you've met Rico, and I just call him Reeky Deaky. I don't know where it comes from. Hey, Reeky Deaky. It's just these little.
Well, I know, of course. I mean, the one you live.
Names.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it'll come. It'll whatever. Yeah. It'll happen. It'll happen.
It'll happen. They're going to tell you.
Okay. They will.
You do know, Lynn, that a male dog, he's gonna have and being young. I don't know how long he was neutered, but he might be trying to mark his territory, a lifting the leg thing. And the only advice that I have is what you put in comes out. So if you're trying to establish you don't pee or mess in the house, it's about what you put in.
Okay.
So don't feed him.
Don't worry. I'm on it.
On a schedule. Getting that schedule. And if he does have an accident, clean it up with whatever you clean it up with. Take the rag or the towel, whatever, outside for him to say, "Oh, okay," just to establish it. And furthermore, crate training. I believe in crate training because
I do too. Not to worry. I've got a crate. Not to worry.
It's a security thing for dogs or
I know.
And it's a good thing.
Right.
Every dog that I've ever had crate training, they are just a more secure animal.
Right. Thank you.
So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
All right.
I'm so excited.
All
for
right,
you,
I am
Lynn.
too. I'll give you updates. I will.
I tell you what, I wouldn't be here without my dog.
Okay. Raoul!
No,
Just saying.
Rico, now,
Yeah.
Raoul's on.
Okay,
Raoul,
I
you
know, but he
Raoul,
can hear me
he
in
lived
the
to
other
be
world.
22.
Okay. Bye.
He was 22 years old, and we actually had a memorial for him when he died, because he went everywhere with me.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
It's funny. I mean, a memorial with pictures, and we made a good time out of it for a dog. Hey, I love you guys.
Bye. Okay, Betha said D names: Dakota, Native American, Dustin,
How
Drew.
about dog? That's what I end up calling Ernie anyway.
Yeah, dog.
Dog.
Drew.
Mr. Dog.
Do you know what's interesting? Remember, it's just been relatively recently that we all started giving animals human names. They used to be,
Right.
you know,
What's wrong with Fido?
Fido, Spot. He has spots. He could be Spot. I appreciate all the offers here. I mean, Margaret says she named her dog Waffles. That's cute, but this is no Waffles, I assure you.
How about Spike?
No, he's not a Spike either. He's too sweet. How about, I don't know, what the hell.
Well, you know, Ernie named himself. I couldn't. He wasn't going to say Stace Tattinger. Oh, he's hearing me. But
He heard you say Ernie.
he-
Well,
I
tell
just looked
Ernie
into it.
he's got a cousin. Not that he'll give a
I
damn.
will. He'll be very excited.
No, he won't. I know Ernie. He won't care. As a matter of fact, he might be offended. So, Susan, did you see the thing about the guy on his 100th birthday in Seattle? We should introduce him to Mom. I got to tell you.
No, what did he do?
He celebrated his 100th birthday by falling out of a plane at 14,000 feet.
No, Mom's not going to do that. She's going to attribute her longevity to not jumping out of airplanes.
Okay, he looks cute as can be.
You sure he wasn't pushed?
No, he was not only not pushed, his name is Stu Williamson, and he has now set his sights on becoming the world's oldest parachutist. Now, he knows who the record holder is. The record holder is an Englishman who performed a jump when he was 101 years and 38 days. So, I got to tell you, Stu Williamson says, all right, I got to live another year and 2 months. I'm going to bump him out.
Cool.
So, Stu Williamson.
Well, I took Mom shopping when we were here. We went to Nordstrom, and the subject of her age came up, as it always does. And turns out this guy disappears and brings up a 96-year-old shoe salesman. Guy. He goes, I'm supposed to stay home and wait to die? And he says, nice to meet you. And then I go off and I hear him selling a pair of shoes to a very young woman, explaining to her that the heel that she's got on is the new heel. She'll be able to wear it for a couple of years before it starts to phase out
cute.
again. It looks good on her. Like, I mean, did this guy know his business or what?
And he was, had a lot of energy, and he was working. Wow.
Yeah.
I
but
love
Mom
that.
looked a whole lot better.
Well, but he's obviously in good shape.
Oh, he's in great shape. It was just cute as can be. And clearly earned his keep. It's like the woman that sells me my spectacle frames. She's 82.
Wow. Oh, Milton. I like this one. He says, how about one of your favorite authors, Dickens?
That's good.
That is good. Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I like Dickens.
I like Dickens, too. Scared the Dickens out of me.
Does it have to be Dickens? Can it be Dickens?
Well, then we get down to Dick. This might not be good. You know how you do
No.
keep.
Yeah, I know. You can't yell, "Hey, Dick." No.
Well, he's going through all these, these Dickens characters. And he did have a Mr. Dick, but he had a Dombey. No.
Yes.
Dorrit. No.
Yeah, but Dorrit was a woman.
Well, so what? Duff. Ooh, here's one. Durdles. Doesn't that sound like a dog's name?
Dumbledore.
I'm not doing Dumbledore. I'm not doing anything having to do with it. Okay.
How about Dudley?
Dudley. Dudley Do Right.
I like Dudley.
But that shortens down to Dud. Okay. I know. Okay, we're off time. We're over time. Okay, whatever.
We are?
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Jeez. Well, goodbye. See ya.
It was good seeing you. I'm Mazel Tov.
Thank you.
May whoever, a.k.a. Dino, live long, healthy, and keep you
Up
long
and running.
healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Suze.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, you guys, that was my big news. I got a guest tomorrow. His name is Foo. That's all I have to say. I ain't saying no more. And see you tomorrow. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.